Welcome to the Youngstown Steel Heritage Foundation and the Tod Engine Heritage Park. This is a little behind-the-scenes tour of the facility and the museum that we're building. So we'll start out here out front. The first piece here is a winch that came out of a dock up in Cleveland. It was a recent donation, something that we'll restore at some point. And over here we have another winch that came out of the plate mill at Briar Hill Works. So as we pan around, this is the building we put up in 2009 for the Tod Engine. We call it the Tod Engine House. Over here, this is a 64,000 pound ingot mold donated by Elwood Engineered Castings, and a 175 ton capacity teaming ladle that was built by Pollock. This came out of the Duquesne Works of U.S. Steel. We got it a few years ago and only wanted to save half of it, and then we had to take the half we were going to save and cut it in half here so we could transport it. Reichert Industries over in Columbiana burned out the new Pollock nameplate since this was missing its original nameplate. And what we plan to do with this and the ingot mold, so over here you see this area we dug out. We're going to fill this in with concrete, put about a 4-foot thick 15 by 20 foot pad in there, and set the ingot mold on top of it, and then basically support on columns that ladle up against the front of the building here. So basically what we're doing is making a full-sized diorama of the ingot teaming process with you'd have the crane holding the ladle above the ingot mold as you were pouring teaming the ingot. So this is something we're going to do in the front of the building because basically this is the most architecturally insignificant building in Mahoning County, so we're going to do something to kind of make it look a little bit better and make ourselves stand out a little bit here. Okay, so come up the hill here, up into the building. As we come in, this is the Tod engine itself. Our 267 ton, 4,000 horsepower stationary steam engine. Drove a 6-stand 24-inch merchant mill over at the Briar Hill Works, and from 1914 until 1979. So we just took down the stairwell here because we're getting ready to you can see under the engine here, you can see everything is sitting up on stilts. Well, all of this gets filled in with concrete. It's about 140 cubic yards of concrete we'll be pouring in here this spring to to give the engine a good foundation. Right now it's sitting on about 8 inches of concrete, and so in order to get the engine restored the way it was originally supposed to be, we have to put this concrete in. Now, why are we doing a foundation after the engine is already here? Well, when we first started this project, I had enough money to either move the engine or pour the foundation. So I decided to move the engine and then do the foundation later. And then that's what we come up with here. So walking back in here, you can see the eccentrics and the flywheel. It's about 33, 34 degrees right now, and all this stuff is extremely cold, and so all the moisture and air is condensing and then freezing on the iron. So it's going to continue to get warm today, and this place is going to be, everything will be covered with frost here shortly. Okay, so we walk out the back end here. Now, part of the foundation work that we're doing is, of course, filling all of this in with concrete, and it'll be about 37 inches high all the way back to this back wall. So I've got this little 3-foot wide slab of concrete in here that was put in as a temporary measure so we could use the floor. We're going to bust all of this out next, so about 30 feet of it. Get rid of all of this, and then excavate down about 3 feet or so, And then as we put the rebar in, we'll run the rebar out and then down into there, and it'll help tie the new foundation into the old slab and also tie it into the wall. Give ourselves a little more rigidity. And here's a good shot of the flywheel. Still have to put the shrink links in. None of that's not going to happen until we have the overhead crane operational, which we're also working on now. Now over on this side, this area here is going to be dug out for a pit for the lube oil system. That's the sumps, the lube oil coming out of the engine from the crank pits and all that will then run into here into a separator, and then that separated oil will then be pumped up to that hydraulic unit up there in that reservoir tank and filtered, and then from there pumped back down into the engine to all the bearings. So this project's underway. Over in here, this will also be excavated. There'll be a foundation put in here, a concrete block that'll be up about 37 inches above the floor, and on top of that, this bearing block sitting out back will sit there, and then we'll have a 12-inch diameter shaft that'll run from the coupling through the bearing block, through the wall, to a gearbox just outside the wall. And this is to recreate what this original drive shaft that this engine drove ran. Because I have visitors ask, well, how did this thing provide power? So we're going to put this drive shaft in to illustrate, well, this is how it provided power to the mill. But also, the drive shaft will be actually transmitting power from the gearbox into the engine to make the engine turn over, because we plan to make the engine operational with an electric motor so that everything works on it and functions. Now walking out front here towards the 68-inch low pressure cylinder. There's our Cincinnati drill press. And looking up here, this is the Morgan crane. Now this crane was built in 1893 by Morgan Engineering and Alliance. It's crane number 613, built for Otis Steel Company in Cleveland. It was built for the Lakeside Works. Lakeside Works was historically significant because it was the first steel mill in the country built, the first ones to actually sell basic open hearth steel on a commercial basis. And so it was a little bit of a historic plant. And basically this crane is all that's left of the Lakeside Works. Even the land that the plant was built on is gone, because I-90 went right through there in a cut. So even the land that the plant was on is gone. So that's all that's left. So walking around here, some of the restoration work we're going to be doing is putting the sheet metal jacketing on the cylinders. Normally you would not see the casting here. This would all be sheet metal. This side here the same way. All the valve gear gets taken down, each piece sandblasted, cleaned up, bearings renewed, put all back on, put the sheet metal on, and then finally it's going to be painted gray, which was one of the color that it had most of its life. And even originally, I mean, you could see this pockmarked surface there. These castings didn't look like that. They had a casting filler on them that was smoothed on, and this engine looked a much better shape than it does now. So, at some point, we'll go through here and resurface all of these castings and try to bring it back to original appearance as close as possible. Okay, so we're going to walk out the south side here. Here's our 400 amp Lincoln welder. There's a couple of shrouds for the engine. Here's a mill motor, and that's the coupling that's going to go into the female coupling on the end of the crankshaft. Actually, we saved that. Found that at Cleveland Auto Wrecking right up the street. It came out of the Warren Works, and last year when they had the auction and they had scrappers buying stuff out of the Warren Works, one of the scrappers was bringing their scrap down here to Cleveland, and that was in the pile, so I bought that. Okay, hey, there's our forklift here. We call it Old Smoky. This one here we bought for $1,500 down in Midland because we needed a forklift when we were doing all that work over at Severstal at Wheeling Pit in Steubenville. So we took it down there. It was down there for a couple years, and then brought it up here. Now it's our lift up here. And we've got the steel storage area, some plate and beams. Here's one of the eccentrics, and the 2 eccentric straps. And there's our 70-ton GE locomotive, the 6114B. Originally started out as New York Central number 513, built 1942. Under the tarp is one of its motor generator sets. There's our 75-ton cling type hot metal car built by Pollock. This also came up from Duquesne, and we've cleaned it up and repainted it. So we've got the platform of this end, took everything off of it and repainted it, put it back on. This end here, we took everything off, and we ran out of time to get all that finished. So we'll probably get that done this year as well. But this is our little hot metal train here. Let's see, we'll pan around. There's under the tarp is the other MG set from the locomotive, and here's the gearbox and the bearing block for the for this motor drive for the Tod engine. So this will go inside the building. The shaft will come through this, and then it'll go through the wall. So say the wall is sitting right here, and then this will actually be outside, but it'll be a little bump out in the building. And then on the other side, we will have a actually the shaft will go back through the wall, and then there'll be an electric motor inside the building that will provide the power to the to the engine. So it's a we will be able to get up to 60 RPM on the engine. We're not going to run it at 60 RPM all the time, but that's the upper limit as of what we can do. All right, over here is another gem that we salvaged from Cleveland Auto Wrecking from Warren Works. This is the finishing stand on a roll former for making corrugated, and for many years Warren Works made a lot of corrugated sheeting. So I saw this in a pile and thought, you know what, I mean, that's an excellent little piece for an exhibit, because it helps people understand the roll forming process and just how that corrugated metal is made. Okay, 100-ton crane hook came off of a Shaw crane that was over at Eddie Kane Steel in Majory, and there's the hook off of our Morgan crane. This tank is just a nice little riveted tank, but it was built by Pollock. So that was the reason I saved it to begin with. It came out of Briar Hill Works. The fan was from North Plant of Steubenville. Here's a set of rolls off the number 14 mill at McDonald, and you can see the roll pass right there. That special shape that they were making with this set of rolls. They donated this so I could have a little exhibit here and help try to explain the steel rolling process. There under the snow, that would say Carnegie Steel Company, Youngstown District. That was the sign that was above the main entrance to the Ohio Works office building. So we'll get that put up here somewhere in the property here pretty soon. And then as we walk back here along the material storage yard, we have gutters that need to be put on the building. There's some control panels off of a DC crane. This L-shaped object, that's the bracket that we're going to hang that 100-ton hook off of. So that'll be somewhere here on the property. I still have to finish building that, but it'll go out and we can hang that hook off of its cable. So I think that'll be pretty neat. And let's see, back here, this is that's a ladle hook that was donated by Morgan Engineering. That goes with the ladle out front, so that'll all go on that diorama slash piece of public art, whatever you want to call it, that we're building out front. Then coming up the hill here a little bit, this is this is probably all that's left of number 1 furnace in Steubenville, is one of the Tweer stocks. We'll put that on display here somewhere as well. And then this other thing back here is a piece of pipe. This is the emergency shut-off valve for the Tod engine, so it goes bolts up on top of the throttle valve. It's a shooty and curting emergency stop valve. It's here's a solenoid. This would stay up in the position right there unless whenever you lose power to that through tripping a switch, this would drop down, trip the stop. It would trip the dog, and then a spring would close the valve, shutting the engine down. Okay, and we walk over here. A couple of storage containers, a little lean-to. We're always adding new stuff up here. And back here we have some carts that we saved out of Moultrie Steel, some parts off that Westinghouse engine that was down in Steubenville. More Westinghouse engine parts in the cabinets. Now we ended up not saving the Westinghouse engine. It just became too much of a project. And so, eventually it got scrapped. We still have some of the parts we brought back up here. I don't know what we're going to do with that stuff yet. But really what happened with that project is that I got involved with working down at Cary Furnaces, and that took a lot of my time. And then, doing work at Cary, realized that, hey, we're missing a scale car, we're missing a mud gun, we're missing a bunch of parts, and here's an opportunity to save some parts off of a a blast furnace of similar vintage. So, I think it's more important that we save those items and make Cary a more complete site than it is to, to save that Westinghouse engine. So we put all our efforts on that. Then RG Steel sold the plant, and, it's like, well, I just, don't think I have the ability to get that engine out of there. Sometimes there's only so much you can do. But, yeah, this basically is the, this is the Tod Engine Heritage Park / Youngstown Steel Heritage Museum that, we've been working on here for, let's see, 14 years now on this site. It's something that, that's only going to keep growing. Now, this area right here where the forklift or trailer is sitting, we plan to put a either 20 or 25 foot wide addition on the building that have 2 floors. On the first floor, basically where that jack is sitting up front, will be the main entrance. So you'll come in there, and there'll be a little visitor center here, a gift shop. We'll have some restrooms down on this level, and then towards the back of the building will be an open area where there'll be like a theater. So when visitors come into the museum here, to come into the visitor center, go back to the little theater area, and we'll have a 15 or 20 minute introductory video that we'll show, and it'll talk about the history of steelmaking here in the Mahoning Valley, using our pieces of equipment in this collection kind of as examples. Throughout the video we'll talk about the various processes. We'll touch upon the history of the engine and the crane, the locomotive, hot metal car. And after you're done watching the video, then you can come back out here and walk through the door, and you'll see the engine. Now, this room here will be set up to try to recreate as close as possible what it would have been like if you were walking into a powerhouse in a steel mill. If you were walking into the building at Briar Hill, seeing this engine running in its native environment. That's the experience we want to have. We want to have the engine running. We want to have the sights and the smells and the sounds of being in a steel mill. And we're going to try to record sounds from an actual rolling mill that we can then play in here. The engine will be operational, and it'll be turning over, and everything in here on the wall, all this stuff, are things that you would find in a steel mill. We also plan to put in a set of stairs right here that'll go up, and then a walkway that'll go over onto the engine. You can get onto the bridge, and then you can get up closer to the flywheel and see everything up there, from a safe perspective, but get you right in the middle of the action. And then there'll be another stairwell on the other side, so you can come back down. you know, when this is done, you know, the way we're going to do this, it'll be, you know, the next best thing to actually going into a steel plant somewhere and seeing this stuff. And actually, you can't see any of this anymore. There's no more steam engines running in steel mills. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to recreate the experience more than anything else of being in a steel plant. So anyways, I hope you you enjoyed our little tour here, and you know, please come on over and pay us a visit sometime. We'll be glad to have visitors. My name's Rick Rollins, and my email address is rick@todengine.org. Our website is todengine.org. And you know, send me an email or whatever, and if you want to come over to see it, I'll be glad to open the place up for anybody, if just one person or 50 people, I don't care. You know, just come on over. You know, this is something I've worked on for, well, since about 1995, so you know, I put most of my life into this project, and I just want to you know, share it with everybody else. So thanks for watching.